Good morning once again, and thank you for keeping it on UBC TV. It is our Good Morning Uganda show, and this is a segment where we are joined by a guest in our studios to discuss issues of national concern. Well, today we are privileged to have General Eri Tumwine, who is a member of the NRM, NRA, and of course one of the people that you can talk about in this country that were part of the revolution and the struggle that led to the liberation of this country. We are going to be discussing the NRM revolution, achievements over the years. Well, I'm also with Felix Nkunda, with whom we are always here together. General, you're most welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. How is your morning?
My morning is fine.
Yes, and yours?
Oh, good. Happy to see you. We're excited to have a discussion of the tales of over the times and the opportunities of how many Ugandans can realize potentials from what you people did struggle for.
You look a happy generation, are you?
Oh, yeah.
We are the generation.
The generation.
Third generation.
Yes.
General, just to begin with, when we talk about NRA, NRM, revolution, the word revolution, where do we get this, and why do we always so much call it a revolution, just for the beginning for our audience, most of the Bazukulu?
Yeah, it's very, very important to know the use of words. And sometimes the problem has always been that words are misunderstood, misinterpreted, misrepresented. And initially, when there was the Cold War, revolution was meant to be belonging to the changes that people are trying to create. But a revolution means creating a fundamental change. A revolution is like you have a wheel. When a wheel turns, it makes a revolution. If it turns one time, it has done one revolution. So it is the fundamental change that takes place in a society, in an organization. And that's what you would call a revolution. So in respect to the NRM revolution, is what has the NRM revolution, what has the NRM struggle changed? What revolution has it done? Where did it start? How did it move? How did it change things? And where is it now? That's why it makes a whole difference to talk about a revolution. Rather than just, when you talk of a government, you limit it. When you talk of a specific period, you limit it. But when you talk of a revolution, is from where did it start? And I like here to start with the 5 questions I like. I don't know whether you, first of all, the question, why? Why are you doing what you are doing? Because the NRM revolution started with a reason. Why? Why did it have to start? What did we have to change? What did we have to revolutionize? So the question number 1 is, why did we have to change the situation? Why did we have to create a new situation? Question number 2 is, where did we come from? What was the history of Uganda? Question number 3 is, where do we analyze where we have reached at each stage in life? Those are, by the way, the 5 questions are not for the revolution. The questions are for your day-to-day life. Every living person, every human being should ask those 5 questions. And I always like to challenge young people. Ask, why are you doing what you are doing? Where have you come from? Each individual has his or her own history, which is very unique, depending on what experience one has gone through. Then the question is, where are you now? Which stage in life? What stage in your effort? What stage in your organization? What stage in your country have you reached? And that is the important 3rd question. Then the 4th question, which is also important, is, where do you want to go? Because you cannot be there just like a maggot, eating to your maximum and feeding and a day-to-day without having where you want to go. Even a snail has where it wants to go.
Destination.
It goes and moves, and every living thing has its different stimuli that attract it. So where are you going? Where would you like to go is the fourth question. And the fifth question, which could be even more important than all the rest, is how do you want to go there? So when you talk about the NRM revolution, that's why you need to see the science of it. How was this whole science? How did this whole science that brought this transformational change? And there the word which is also coming on is transformation. A revolution or a rotation is not only just turning things around, but transforming them for the better. So where you want to go and how you shall go there is a very, very important point in whatever you are doing. You must have a plan of where you want to go and how you will go there. If you want to move from A to Z, how are you going to move from A to Z? If you want to go to Entebbe from Kampala, you must plan how to go there. And plan it in your head before you set out. Do you want to walk to Entebbe? Do you want to go by a bicycle? Do you want to go by border? Do you want to catch a taxi? Do you want to get a bus or fly there? Or are you doing it one part walking, one part border, one part taxi, the other part back on a border or walking? All that must be a plan. And then you must have the money, the means for going there. If you want to use a border, you must plan how much money you will use. If you want to get a taxi, how much will it charge you? So you think through the journey. But what is interesting these days, which I see many young people, people are leaving. People are just leaving.
General, can we look at answers to these questions in relation to the youth?
Now, before I even go to the youth, I think we should go to this revolution. Where did Uganda come from?
Yes.
Because you said you are 34. You who are the NRM generation, sometimes don't bother. Because you found the situation so good for the last 34 years. You only found everything moving very fast and changing. And you have not had enough time to study, to analyze, to understand where did Uganda come from? Why was there a need to create the NRM? And this makes a very big important, because if you don't know where you have come from, it will be very difficult for you to plan properly where you would want to go. Because you can repeat the same mistakes. Because it is not a mistake to make a mistake, but it is a mistake to repeat the same mistake. So when you look at where you have come from, it analyzes what were the mistakes of the past. What are the mistakes of the generation before us? What are the mistakes of our generation? What are the mistakes of your generation? So that once you identify them, once you know them, then you will know how to adjust yourself. So I would like to start by saying that the history of Uganda, in summary, so that we move to your question about the youth. The history of Uganda is that when you read our constitution, you know how it starts?
It's preamble.
The preamble.
Yes.
The political and constitutional instability. The first 24 years, or after our independence, well, you could go a little bit behind. Since Uganda started and it was called a country, Republic of Uganda, from the 1900 Uganda Agreement, which just put together, the boundaries were not scientific. It was just a line in the south, a latitude, and when the missionaries got tired going to the north, they said, okay, those hills, because the hay got finished, and the boundaries were dividing communities. So the history of Uganda was that the creation of Uganda itself, like all other colonial countries of Africa, was unrealistic and was not based on anything of scientific basis. So that creation of that history. But when it comes, we continue up to 1962 when we get independence. The first 24 years, 9 presidents. in the first 24 years of independence. And that's why you should know, why? You should ask, what happened? What was this instability? What was causing this turmoil? What was causing this disruption? Why change after change after change after change? If you were to change everything at that rate, it will be too very fast. If you have to change your spouses at that rate, it will be very chaotic. If you have to change your houses, it will be very chaotic. So if you have to change anything which is fundamental in such a rapid rate, you really have problems. So the NRM revolution looked at the history that was causing instability, and with the priority number one and the concern number one was, how do we work out a plan? Now, when you want to rush to the youth without a plan are doomed. Any young person who just lives and just does not have any plan, any person, anyway, not even an old one. So the most important thing was working out, having a plan, well thought, deeply analyzed, think about it. How do we change Uganda as a country from where it was for a better situation, to create the 34-year generation, which these days I call it the party after party generation, because there are too many. There's too much celebration everywhere, which is very good. And that's the revolution. So after turmoil, to have led a generation where now it is party after party is an achievement in itself. Just that character alone. But more than that, I like telling the story. You know, many of you just see things without analysis. When you look at a tree, that's the good example I want to give. When you look at a tree, you see the fruits, you see the flowers, very colorful. The leaves are very green. The branches are many. And any good big tree really is very attractive. But what is most important on that tree? Is it the leaves? Is it the fruits? Of course, the fruits are very attractive, and that's what people rush for. People rush for the fruits. People rush for the flowers. Now, but the most important thing is what you don't see. What is underground? The most important thing are the roots. Seasonal, leaves are seasonal. Fruits are seasonal. Flowers are seasonal. But the roots continue growing, and actually they say when a tree is being shaken, it is actually giving an opportunity to push its roots even deeper. And that's why you people who don't know how important it is to have an opposition and get worried, you need it because you need something which shakes you. I want to shake your mind today. I want to shake your mind by challenging you that really, young people, there is a way you need to be shaken so that you can push your roots down and deeper. Because when the weather changes, the leaves can drop, the flowers can drop, the fruits can drop, but as long as the roots are firm in the ground, then you will have a tree always growing healthier and healthier. And it is also contributing. The leaves get the food, the what, but the real strength, first of all, firmness in the ground. You know, there are plants, if you want to now study plants, there are these plants, when you have this, which grow very fast, shoga, which grow, you plant it, it grows very fast and it grows very tall. Now, but when the wind comes, it's so soft, so vulnerable, because it grew very fast. While the one, and the Bible is very clear, even science is very clear, while a tree, where the seed takes a long time, sometimes to come from the ground. Ours was 5 years there, not on the surface, but hidden. Now, where you find the seed, which takes a long time in the soil, is able to break the soil, is able to grow up with a lot of difficulties in the weather, and it is able to fight it, and it grows slowly but surely. That tree is firmer, that tree is better, that tree is more reliable, that tree can weather many storms and many changing weathers. than the first one, which grows very fast.
General rightly said the foundation and now their successes. When we look at achievements of NRM revolution, one of the achievements is that now you have the party after party generation, like you've said, to whom the struggles that you went through, they can read, but they did not feel. Even when we had that trek, you would see how many could not even complete the 47 kilometers that were walked. But the challenge is now they're looking for opportunities that are there for them. Do we see these opportunities? Can you take us through some of these?
Yeah. First of all, these opportunities have not just come around. What makes a difference between a successful person and a failure is the ability or inability to take advantage of the available opportunities. Uganda has wonderful opportunities, not now only, by its nature, by the climatic advantage, by the gifted by nature, as the advert goes. Uganda, which is a land-linked, water, fresh water, endowed. That's why you people, I think our beautiful country, Uganda, of milk and honey, full of fresh water, fresh air, fauna and flora, full of sunshine, the pearl of Africa. That summary, that beautiful country, that, when Churchill came here, he was shattered. He said, I have never seen a country as beautiful as Uganda. This is paradise. If you read all what he said. So even as early as 1900 or 1907, even from an outsider. So the opportunity, and he said in Uganda, a little money, a little input gets a lot of advantages, and he told the British, concentrate on Uganda, concentrate on Uganda. So what I'm telling the young people, the opportunities in Uganda, especially now after 34 years. These days, some of you young people are very proud. First of all, you think you know better. You think you are more educated than perhaps many of our generation. You have been lucky to be brought up in a good environment. You are more exposed than to the whole world with the easy communication. And you look down upon these old people, which some people are saying, oh, remove the dead wood. Now, the story I normally share is of this young man, I think must have been a corrupt young man, who amassed a lot of wealth. He amassed a lot of wealth and built a better house than his father, got a bigger piece of land than his father, bought a four-wheel drive better than his father. His father was still in his pickup, smaller pickup, had more cows than his father. And one day he was boasting to his father. He said, you people did not know how to use your time. Don't you see me in these years? I am better than you. At this age, I am richer than you. I think some of you are thinking like that. You look at us and you think perhaps these people did not know how to do things. We now can do them faster and at a speed. So the old man kept looking at this young man and he said, have you finished your boasting? He said, young man, I agree you have more than all those things, more than I have. But there is one thing you don't have. You don't have a son like you. Was that a knockout?
Sure.
That was a real knockout, because the NRM revolution, even if we have not achieved anything else, at least we have a 30-year-old, 34-year generation that is now the force, the energy, the future of Uganda. So we are very, very, however, whatever the revolution, what the revolution has done is that it has resulted into the creation, the building up of a wonderful, educated, exposed, energetic, young generation.
General, would that be now a challenge of managing success? Because
Yes.
this generation is craving for opportunity, this generation is craving for employment, this generation is worried of its future.
So you've already said it. Success. So, first question is was the NRM successful? Now it is true. Me, I have cows. Any cattle keeper will tell you that when your cows become very many, you have a problem of success. They finish the grass, they need more water, you must really do something. So you have a problem of success. So what is better? Is it better to have a problem of scarcity or a problem of success? Which of the two? I agree with you entirely. We really have a problem of success, of creating a young generation which is educated in big numbers, which is aware, which has now been created. You know, it has not been created out of easygoing life. It has been deliberate. First, deal with immunization. Stop the death rate, the infant mortality rate. Basics, you know, these are things which are no longer talking about. We are talking about them at the beginning of the government, 86, 87, 89 there. If you looked at a human being as a patient, if you looked at Uganda, a country as a patient, that's another good example. Anybody who goes to a doctor, first of all, it is that person who knows how he's feeling. Some of you think that the doctor in treatment is the most important. No, the most important is the patient. Because without the patient, the doctor has no work. So what is important is that when a patient comes to the doctor, the most important part of the treatment is the diagnosis. The most important part is, how are you feeling? What is your temperature? Let's check your blood. For how long have you been feeling like this? It is the patient who knows better. It is the one who knows better how he or she is feeling. Now, the young generation who are now a problem of success need to know what are the challenges, what are the available opportunities. Because once the doctor has diagnosed, has found because he has many options. Now, these I'm comparing them with many opportunities. There are many options for making this person recover. And that was the first stage of the revolution, to make Uganda, which was like a patient, recover. When the patient is able to stand on his own and starts eating by himself instead of a drip, then that patient is developing. Then when he's okay, like your young generation, when he is able to run on his own, and that's where I want to go. I want to go that the NRM revolution has created such a wonderful foundation, such a strong foundation, that the young generation now have not only recovered from being sick as a country. Uganda was sick. It was not. You will not be proud to call yourself a Ugandan during when people are running away in exile. Everybody now is running to Uganda.
Okay.
And I want to show you, because some of the indicators you don't see. If we talk, you heard what President Kikwete said. In summary, he was right on the point. He said Uganda is at peace with herself. Question number one, point number one. Uganda is at peace with herself. It means the Ugandan society is at peace with herself. I should have greeted you. Peace be with you.
Peace be upon you, Jenny.
Peace. And you, peace be with you.
Peace be.
Because peace, perfect peace. We have this song in our church. Peace, perfect peace.
Which the third generation, General, peace, that is the foundation. And now the patient is treated, is able to eat, walk,
run on his own. From there,
which is the majority of the population.
Now be careful how you run.
Okay.
and actually, General, as you talk about that, I would want to bring something. That there's something special about the revolution that made it a success. Amidst all challenges, there are some values. And if I may ask, we would want to share some of the values that saw this revolution a success to the generation that this generation that this patient that you've already cured, some of the values that we can share with our youth today so they can maximize the potentials of a great country like Uganda.
You know why I accepted the invitation to come and talk about this subject was mainly that. Was mainly because very good. You have raised a very, very good question of what are those values? What made the NRM revolution succeed? What is it that make this revolution succeed? And that's what the young generation should study. How come that these few people went in the bush, sat down for 5 years? Now I have been telling people that when people think that 5 years were fighting, no, 5 years were spent most of the time sitting down together, discussing from morning to evening, from evening to midnight, analyzing the 5 questions we started with, where we have started, we come from, where we are, where we want to go, and how we shall go there, and why were we in the bush. You know this song, Chibonge Chanini, Vijana wale hamia musituni. Why did the young people go to the bush? That question of why was always being asked. So those questions were the ones, that was value number 1. Value number 1, we had time to sit down and analyze Uganda and discuss and then map out with a clear ideology. Now, the value number 1 is what ideology are you following? And this is a subject which needs continuous education, especially to the young people, to understand what is it we are talking about. Because when you look at how is society moved, even how it is divided on ideology. There is the Christian ideology, there is the Islamic ideology, there is the communist ideology, there is the African culture ideology, there is the military of different ideologies, now the militaries. You see, once you have the ideology clear, then all other things, all other institutions, all other arms of your organization are done to follow that ideology. The ideology of the colonialists and imperialists was to come and dominate and exploit the small, weak countries. That was an ideology, a colonial ideology. Now, the ideology of liberation was to resist, but using different methods. So the values that we had was, fortunately, the most important thing which I think we did was choosing a correct political line of approaching Uganda's problems. How do you decide where you want to go? Because you must choose what line are you going to use. Now the opportunities are many. You young people have many opportunities to use. Because for whatever you want to do, you must know the options. You must know the choices you have. And first of all, where peace comes as important, is peace allows you to have the freedom of choice. And to do it in an environment that does not confine you. If you are doing something under duress, under pressure, then you have no choice. If you are being told with a gun on your back, move here, move there, you are moving, but you are not moving according to your own choice. Now, what has happened is that the NRM revolution, because of its correct political line, then correct ideology of how do you change the population, how do you change the mindset of the people. And that's what brings in the point you are raising of values. The values of the National Resistance Army and the National Resistance Movement were based on creating first new institutions. Because what happened in Uganda, there was a change of the executive. There was also a change of the character, of the type of armed forces of the country. There was also a change of the ideology of how you manage affairs, how do you approach, and all was based on a people's pro-people science, if I may call it, pro-people ideology. People which put the people first.
You know, when you talk about ideology, this has come out on so many platforms, so many discussions. His Excellency has echoed it do we still have a common ideology?
That's a good point. How do you get a common ideology if you are not studying? I'm telling you what made us have a common ideology, have a common understanding, have a common belief. Ideology is about what you believe in. Is because we had time to sit down and discuss and put our minds together and focus based on our values, based on the values which I'm trying to explain, based on the values of how do you defend the public, how do you defend the people, how do you have pro-people ideas, how do you have people, an armed force which is pro-people. So those values are the question on what are the, you see, we put it like a program, because when you want to go is how do you want to go there. So that's why we put the 10-point program. That was how we would achieve where we wanted to go. But before the 10-point program, we first analyzed how do we organize ourselves into making our minds focused on a common goal. It is true that I don't think there is enough time anymore for the young people because of the party after party to sit down and discuss and know why am I believing what I'm believing. Why should I follow President Museveni's ideas? Why should I follow the NRM ideas? Why should I follow any leader who is leading me? What basis am I, on what basis am I following who I am following? Now, what is his ideology? Now the word will keep coming. What is his belief? Because the belief of the national resistance and the national resistance movement has been how do we transform our society together, steadily, progressively, surely, step by step, mpora mpora. You hear the words he normally uses, bugubugusimuriro. Slowly, these days he's now using a mawolo, adingana mawolo, ajamo mukuto. That philosophy, those values of not panicking, the values of analyzing every situation, and seeing what is, first and foremost, anything you want to do must have what is the purpose. Any step, any decision, any action you want to take should be grounded on the basis that it must be pro-people. It must be for serving the purpose, the interests of the people. I have known the president for the last 52 years. He was teaching me in P7. I have observed him teach family income from 1967. We met somewhere and he was teaching about what he's teaching now, family income. He was telling the man where we had stayed, he was telling him how a load of bananas, a load of cassava, a load of other things. And he was, at that time, as then, which he's doing now. So you see that there is somebody who knows where he wants to go, and which is based on what I am describing as pro-people ideas.
The pro-people ideas.
The values and cannot come like flu. They cannot catch you like flu. That you wake up and find you have the ideology of the NRM.
General, have you been able to pass on this to the current generation, given the state of affairs? For example, there was a level of patriotism. When you look at the 10-point program, it was looking at a Uganda that will come after. Today, the Bazukuru are looking for survival for the next day. Is there a failure to pass this on? Where is the challenge?
There is no failure. There is, as you have said, problems of success. Problems of success. We have an example, you heard the president the other day explaining the surplus. When you have surplus, you get a problem. And because people are now used like to the price of milk where it had reached, the moment because you have too much milk or the surplus is a shock, having to go back. But it is a good problem when you have more sugar, when you have more maize. When that is when you have that challenge, it brings some concern, and people always rush for the negative, and that's why I want to really share with you. In life, in order for you to have a positive ideology, don't be pessimistic. Don't be optimistic. There are people whose whole effort is negativity, who don't look at the wonderful opportunities, who don't look at the better ideas that bring people together, who don't look at the better future of the, who are looking for negativity, blame game, who are only concentrating on division, sectarianism, while the values of establishing peace first and doing that a sacrifice. You see, that's what people don't know. The value we first had to convince our young people, our colleagues, they had to be convinced why they should sacrifice. That's why I said, why are you in the bush? Why are you in the bush? You must first make people understand. You must first make people, the ideology must be understood. And that's the point you are saying. Has this ideology been understood? Yes. You see, it is a choice again. Every day the president is talking about the ideology. It's true at some point where senior 6 leavers were being taken to Chankwanzi to be introduced, to be taken through the cadre courses, was somehow disrupted. It is true that the numbers increased because they became too many. Whom do you take if you have 1 million people finishing senior 6, 500,000? Whom do you take and whom don't you? And then the introduction of the patriotic clubs is still in that direction. That it should be, people should start at another age when they are still in secondary school to learn about the ideology of NRM. And you know, revolutions don't exist in a matter of 5 or 10 or short years. Revolutions take a long time. All these nations which you people admire are old nations. Uganda is only 120 years now. 120 years. But the main change of transforming Uganda has taken place in the last 34 years when we have had stability. So the challenge which is there now, and that's why I want to focus on the youth, the young people. That's why we should focus on the young people. The young people are the ones, first of all, are the ones we were willing to sacrifice for. That's what I want to share with you, young people who are out there. Our whole effort was whatever happens, and would wish that even if I die, let me not die in vain. And I'm glad, really, during the celebrations of the 34th anniversary celebrations, the message was those who died did not die in vain. Because our effort was, let us create a new generation which will be happier, better than we were at that age. At that age, Uganda's youth were in danger. And most of them either were killed, were run away, or were disorganized. And we needed to create a new peaceful generation.
Where you have arrived.
Where we have reached and created a mature 34-year-olds, 40-year-olds, who are the majority of the country. And the other day I was asked a question. I was going to present a paper to the World Youth Forum on the question of, is the African youth an asset or a liability? And I want all of you to answer that question. Is the African youth an asset or a liability? I wish every young man should sit down and write down what he thinks. I can tell you straight away, my hypothesis, my clear understanding is you can never have young people who are educated, who are exposed at this time in history where you can access knowledge from wherever you want, freely and quickly. You can never have that young generation as a liability.
But you know, what are we having today? I think we are having a liability because despite the facts that you've mentioned, we've not seen the African youth become an asset.
Well, you see, you must first have the youth. What comes first? What comes first?
A healthy youth.
What comes first is you must first save the African youth, African children from dying.
Which you did?
Which, in the case of many countries, but specifically Uganda, the mortality rate was very high, immunization was very low, the children were dying. So the achievement number 1 is life, saving life. The achievement number 2 is educating them and keeping them in good health. Now, once you have those, then this cannot become a worse problem than the one you had. Because everything should always be seen in as compared to what? You know, psychologists say these words which you people like using. This is good, this is tall, this is nice, this is better. The question is as compared to what? Everything you want to describe is what is your yardstick? What are you comparing him to? If a Karamajong went to Kasese and you were to compare a tall Kasese person
And the Karamajong.
and a Karamajong, you will find that the question tall will be different. So everything is as compared to what? So you must have an analysis that compares what was the situation 34 years ago, what was the situation 20 years ago, what was the situation 10 years ago, what was the situation 5 years ago. And that's why we need to have time. I want to tell you people, those who want to invest, it is not how much money you put in an investment. It is how much time you give it. It's how much mind you give it. And therefore, young people, my message is find time. My message is find time, which enabled us, few as we were. All we gained actually out of going to the boot was being saved of diversions. These parties which are killing you, and WhatsApp, and just following. Find time to sit together, to sit with us, to sit along, discuss, have discussion groups. Because there is no problem that cannot be solved when people come together, when minds are put together. You are the ones, young people who are out there. Nobody owes you a living. This government should do this. Who is the government? You are the government. You are the young government in charge, not the leaders of tomorrow. You are leaders of now.
But General, one would ask, are the opportunities available for the young generation? Yes, nobody owns them alive, but like in your preamble, you immunize these now, the success stories we have. That was a government input to ensure that the young people could live. Today, when we look at the educated but lack jobs, those that are trying to make ends meet, but kindly feel maybe government still has a hand.
Yes.
And they feel
making ends
something
meet.
hasn't been done.
Making ends meet is very subjective. The making ends meet is in what circumstances, in what environment. If you want to make ends meet and be very rich like the other son of that old man who must have grabbed or used the wrong methods of making ends meet, making ends meet is should come out of understanding. Should not come out of just following the wind. As I've said, there is no way understanding will catch you like flu. Because there are two words, knowledge and understanding. Actually, people do not do what they should. The young people will not do what they are expected to do. Nobody is expected he will do what is until he understands. It is when you understand that you are in a better situation to do what you want to do better. So the challenge which I'm putting out for the young people there is, do you understand your current situation? Have you had time to put your minds together, to analyze, to identify the available opportunities? Government has created the environment. That is the opportunity young generation have. But don't remain in your comfort zone. When the Pope came here, point number one he told the fathers and sisters in Rubaga was, get out of your comfort zone. You young people, party after party, who just want everything to be done for you by government, you are the government of this time. You are the one. This is now your time at your age. Those who are 30 and above, those who are 25 and above, this is the time for you to sit down, to analyze that question. Are you an asset or a liability? And starting with yourself, because you can be a liability to yourself, depending on what your attitude is. First of all, these three words which are very important. Gratitude. If you have a parent who has brought you up, who has nurtured you, who has carried you, who has taken you through hard times, the first thing you should have is gratitude. Gratitude. Gratitude is the one which will give you the attitude. If you are not thankful, one of my songs actually is, do you thank God for who you are? Do you thank God for who you are, for what you are, for what you have, for everything? Because that comes with an analysis. Who are you? What do you have? How are you grateful? So if you have gratitude, to whoever, any person, whether government, whether you are parent, whether you are teacher, if he contributed to your life in one small way, or somebody you've met on the road and has given you an answer to the question you had, be grateful. That will give you a positive mind. Now, that's what I want to deal with. The values of our revolution can only be passed on if you have a positive mind, if you have a positive attitude. Why we sacrificed, our attitude was, we are willing to transform our country. We are willing to change this bad situation. Our attitude was that, yes, it can be done. But this surrendering attitude, I am unable, I cannot manage, I am poor, I am weak, I don't have money, government should give me. Who is giving? You have a head.
General, allow me go to our viewers, and please feel free to call in. And at this particular time, the number is 0702 23 24 25. As we are looking at the NRM revolution achievements with General Eli Tumwine with us in studios, please, before you call in, please turn down the volume of your TV set or move away completely from your TV set, and then try to be audible enough for us to be able to get you. That is the number on your screen, and we are now able to receive. My lines are open. I want to get your opinions, your views on the topic we are discussing. Yes. Well, General.
Of course, of course, I think we have a caller.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, how are you?
I'm fine, how are you?
You are talking with the Vumbi Research Sonko. I'm a pastor, a member of Apoka. For me, of course, I just want to thank General Eli Tumwine for whatever they have done for our country since we started our revolution. May God bless him so much and let them go ahead with the work done. The people of Uganda are very happy with the situation. May God bless you so much.
Okay, thank you, Pastor, for calling in. Of course, he was expressing his gratitude, like the General talked about, of where we are now and the efforts that they put in. That is the Hello, good morning.
Hello.
Hello, please turn down the volume of your TV set.
Good morning.
Good morning to you.
This is Sharif calling from Busoga.
Yes, Sharif from Busoga.
Yeah, the situation which we are moving in, some of us, we need to be told what is supposed to be done. Because that thing is being freedom, but people who are now in the villages, they don't know what's now moving, the movement of the situation now. Basing on what we are supposed to do, we are just supposed to be told what is going on. Okay?
Good question.
Okay. Thank you, Sharif from Busoga, for watching and calling in. Well, my lines are open, and we have our guest in studios who will be able to respond to your questions or your comments on this show. Hello, good morning.
Morning, sir.
Please kindly turn down the volume of your TV set.
Hello?
Kindly turn down the volume of your TV set, then go ahead.
Yeah.
So give me your name and where you're calling from.
Hello?
Give me your name
From
and...
Arua.
Yes, from Arua.
I'm calling from Arua, yeah.
Yes, your name.
Is it the Uganda Broadcasting Studio?
Okay. Well, comrade, please turn down the volume of your TV set. It's my humble request, because you are getting an echo and we won't be able to get you.
Okay, let me turn it down. Hello?
Now go
Yes,
ahead.
we can hear you.
Yeah, I'm calling from Northern Uganda.
Okay.
And I'm calling Article of the Chief Executive Chairman from our municipality.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. I've been attending from General Eric. I got
Sorry, caller from Arua, but he was also expressing gratitude by the time he went off. He was also saying thank you for the good work being done. Well, my line is 0702 23 24 25. Hello, good morning.
Hello.
You're live on UBC TV. Give me your name and where you're calling.
Good morning.
Good morning to you.
First of all, make a handshake on that Mr. N. the General, of getting a day of coming and analyzing what we are supposed to move on. First of all, I'm calling from Uganda. People, the situation which is good and bad, we are not differentiating between the good and the bad. Our being peace with the youth, it is just being heard from other people that we have peace.
Okay.
When it is just heard from other people that we have peace, how is that peace being shown to the people? By attacking, gassing, or what?
Okay, yes, thank you. We got your question, and of course, the General will be responding to all the callers, but I'll just pick more calls.
Well,
hello, good morning.
Hello.
You're live on UBC TV. Thank you for calling in. Tewali tabu genda maaso. Nawe ojebale. Yes, sebo kada kakoze. Sebe ekibuuzo kyo mukadde wange.
Era mu kukola mu kiseera mukama wange olaba tewaliwo olaba kati ssaawa ya leero tukola ebyawezi ekituufu ky'omuliro tuwesa tukola ebintu bingi mukama wange asambejjeno ebitumunyi mbadde njagala atuyambeko munaddala kati nsekitambala ekisinaabamu ekiramya abavubuka benina okufuna abavubuka bangi era bazala kusiga abaana abo. We have transformed them into a very, very formidable working force.
Thank you so much. Mukulu Kakoza ng'ofundikira olwakadde. Webale nnyo mwami. Thank you Kakoza for calling in. He was also expressing gratitude to General Tumwine, but also point out the issue of the youth to get this ideology. Well, our first hold calls at that, then go back to... Okay, let me just pick one more call. Hello, good morning. My final caller.
Hello.
Hello, you're live on UBC TV. Good morning.
Yeah, in Uganda.
Yes, Sebo.
Kakati.
Erinnya lyo Sebo ne gy'osinzidde muganda wange.
Nze Abraham.
Yes, Sebo.
Nzidde Zambia.
Genda maaso Abraham.
Hello.
Nkuwulira Sebo. Abraham, sorry we lost you. Asobodde kufuna naye anzikiriza ngende kati. Allow me go back to General Eli Tumwine, my producer. Let's hold calls at that. Well, General, we have people with expression of gratitude.
Well, Council K, let me first thank those who have who are grateful for this program and what we are doing, like Kivumbi, Vakoka. and even the chairman of Arua, although his line was cut off. Now, to go to Sharif from Busoga, he was asking a very good question of what we need to be taught. What are the things that need to be taught, and what are we supposed to do? Actually, young people, that is actually the crux of the matter. That is why I think this program is important for us to engage with you on the discussion of what we need to learn. And my advice is there is no way you will be taught or you will learn or you will access this knowledge if you are not well organized. My usual slogan is that the future belongs to the organized. And the better future belongs to those who are organized and who are disciplined. Those two words. Now, my advice on what needs to be taught is form organizations, form groups, wherever you are. It does not matter whether you are in Busoga, whether you are in Kasese, whether you are in Arua. I am giving you the advice of what made us succeed is find discussion groups where you put your heads together and say, in the situation, with the opportunities that are available, with the peace and freedom that there is, what are the business opportunities? What can we do? Instead of each individual young person suffering individually and only complaining and amplifying the complaint of others, come together. There is no shortcut. I don't want to really tell you lies that the government will have a magic to solve everything. The government is doing everything possible to create infrastructure, to create a business environment, to create facilities like electricity and water and health facilities and education facilities. But just like the president has been explaining, Chorus Tarmac Road might be near your house. But if you yourself have nothing to transport on that road, really whom do you blame? So the point I'm making is the thing is to learn, like the president has during the trek. He was very clear. He was talking of fear God, have family income, ensure that all children go to school, and this is the whole point. Let everybody get an opportunity. When you are going to school, they don't tell you you are going to school to be employed. No, you are going to school to access and expose yourself to general knowledge. But how you get yourself employed is your responsibility, because you have many choices to make, as long as there are opportunities. And the business opportunities are now many. And that's why he's saying, now let the government ensure drugs are not stolen. And there, and I will come in on the fight like a fight against corruption, is that the young people, I am appealing to you. You are the best. You are the best. Young people, old people, veterans. Now let us combine forces and focus on this. Only one problem. That's what the president said, and he's saying it like the third time. That all these other things we have done, infrastructure, everything, we have fought HIV, AIDS, but there is one problem which is still remaining. Corruption of the public service and of the people who should deliver services. If we all combine, now young people, you sit down and discuss that subject. How can we fight corruption in our area? How can we fight corruption in our school? How can we fight corruption in our hospital? How can we fight corruption at whatever work where you are? And you discuss it and you commit yourself like we committed, because you should learn from what we did. For us, when we are discussing, we're not discussing only. We are discussing but acting. We are discussing and sacrificing. We are discussing and showing an example. Now, if you only discuss and only blame and talk without consolidating what you would like to change, the change you want to see is in your hands. The young people, the Uganda you want to have is in your hands. So what needs to be taught are these general subjects which like I am introducing to you. Invite the cadres who are in your area, invite the teachers who are in your area, give them an opportunity, create an environment for learning. In the whole history of Uganda's culture, of all the cultures, every society has a forum where people gather. Religious institutions are sustainable and continue growing because they all established a regular forum. The Muslims have Friday, the Seventh-day Adventists have Saturday, the other Christians have Sunday, and all other religions